Hello, everyone. Hello, Mbagaliza. A very good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Revolutionary Spa. I am your host, Sophia Sebi. Welcome to you all. Predominantly, I will be speaking in English as always. So forgive me. Forgive me for those who do not clearly, I suppose, understand or converse in the English language. I blame it on the Ugandan education system. No, anyway, it is, I know, I blame it on myself. I blame it on myself for not fully being conversant with the Luganda language or any other language of our homeland, of our motherland. So, welcome to you all. I hope you're well. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, wherever you are. We are in London. The time now is 8:44. That means the time on the motherland, Uganda, is about 10:44, I believe. It's about 10:44. Wherever you are, welcome to the Revolutionary Spa. It is your host, Sophia Sebi. As always, we start off with prayer. We start off with gratitude. We start off with sort of food for thought reflection on current issues. And this is how our program will run. And then we go into the topic when we dig deeper about the power of word tongue. And this is really about how we, the self, we are able to change our mindset in order to change our circumstances. It is no longer about someone else. It is no longer about blaming someone else, our condition, our environment. We need to take accountability, responsibility for our own environment, for our own actions. And welcome again. I'm sorry I wasn't with you last weekend. But as you know, there's lots of things that go on in the background. We still have to pay our bills. As you know, we still have to be parents or caregivers. So sometimes it is not practically possible to be with you every weekend. But I assure you that I am here to serve you, and everything I do intentionally to be able to be of service, to be able to research, to be able to understand the topic that I'm bringing you, to be able to give 100% when I'm on the show. So I'm hoping that you all appreciate the work that goes in. And I appreciate you for being on here. I appreciate everyone who's watching on YouTube, who's on Facebook, who's on Twitter, wherever you are watching from. And if you're watching a replay or a repeat, I thank you for, contributing to the revolutionary self. So change you, change us, change our environment, change, for instance, Uganda. So welcome to everyone. I can say that I've had a good week. My voice might be a little probably deeper, or it might be husky right now because I have been I've had this infection, but it will be well. It is well. It's all about positivity. What we say to ourselves, the power of tongue, power of word, what we say to ourselves will sort of become true. We create the things that we say. So today's topic is the power of word tongue. So I hope that every time that we come here, I hope that you do a little bit of research on what exactly we've said or I have said. Don't take my word for it. Please remember, it is the Truth Command Center. We on UNN TV. No apologies. The Truth Command Center. You connect the dots. You question everything. So when we say the power of word and tongue is the manifestation, It means you reap what you sow. It's sort of this cause and effect. I won't go into detail, but first of all, I just want to say, some prayer and gratitude. And I like to pray, to thank God for bringing us here today and every day, for enabling us to have the wisdom, the knowledge, to have the ability to be able to wake up every day and provide for our families. I thank the Almighty God. I thank the higher being. We are here for growth, evolution, and therefore it is important to acknowledge those we grow with. Every one of us is valuable. I extend my gratitude first to the Almighty for enabling us again to come together in the first place. Special thanks to all those who came before us, the elders past and present, my colleagues who are always behind the scenes at UNN, those who are behind the scenes on social media, those who are in, the chapters of UFCC. I thank you all for your contribution, for being intentional, for wanting to change the environment, to change you, to change yourself, to better our environment, our future, our children's future. And for believing in the UNN TV, UFCC vision, all those who continue to contribute to the Ugandan revolution, be it emotionally, practically, financially, or otherwise, every single one of us is valuable. The value is you. You are the value, not the things that you accumulate over the years, over the time, not the material things, not your job, not your title. You, the person. So remember, it is about the collective, not about the me. It's not about receiving all the time, but also giving back. What are you of? What is it that you of service? Are you of service to others the way you want to be of the way you want them to be of service to you? If you're not, why not? All this time that we wonder why our environment, why our situation, it is the way it is. We wonder yet, and we sort of are surprised about how we are, how our environment is, why the poverty. We always wonder about this, but we never really pay attention and take responsibility and say, what did I do to cause the situation that we're in? So this is the revolutionary spark. It means revolutionary self-purposeful action. I am your host, Sophia Sebi. And as always, this program is definitely not about preaching. It's definitely not about politics, not about religion. It's really about understanding sort of universal laws, philosophical thought. That is where I come from. That is my expertise as a social worker. I know that there's always root causes, and if you acknowledge yourself, the reason why your environment is the way it is, by taking ownership and responsibility, we are able to move forward. We cannot move forward until such time that we accept that we are the causation of the root causes that we are experiencing right now. We are the causation of the experiences or the environment that we are experiencing right now. I say this because, of course, some of you might, say, no, it is not. But at least 50%, 50, 60, 70% of the time, we are the causation of the things that we have going on around us. So as I say, when you're sitting by yourself, with your being, Take time out to reflect on what or who are you grateful to, or what are you grateful for. What did you learn this week of value to you that you are grateful for? Do we really take enough time, or are we busy clocking in the hours, busy getting that paycheck, busy running around, busy wanting everybody to give us, but not taking the time to say, I am grateful because I'm alive. I'm grateful because I am me. So as I go into food for thought for today, I always like to give a little bit of food for thought for us, something to go with, something to get us through our day-to-day lives. Because remember, if you're not happy with your current circumstances in your personal life, how is it that you're going to change everything about around you? How is it that we're going to change the things around us, the things with that are going on with everything else in terms of our environment, our revolution? You cannot fix something when you have broken pieces. You need to be together to be able to change the things about you, to change the environment around you. You need to be together in one piece. So when I talk about perception, food for thought, perception, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. This was a quote from one of the people that I sort of follow on social media, Deraj Global. And he says something to do with when you change your perspective, when you change your perception of things, the things that you're looking at change. Those things that are sort of, maybe, is it the education system? Do you want business as usual? Is that really a revolution? Depending on which lens or angle you are using or standing, if you look at this picture, depending on where you are, you will interpret this picture or scenery in a totally different way. It will not be the same from someone standing on the other side. It will not be the same someone standing from where I am now, where you are. This is a scenery of, probably, of a mountain, of you've got the lake or sea or water feature, then you've got the road going through it, and that might not necessarily look like the road going through it for many of us. And this is, in a way, how we have sort of lived our lives. Sometimes we have a totally different perception of how things are. So depending on which lens or angle you were using, standing or you're standing in, things don't appear the same. So perhaps we must look at our life differently, because where we are looking at it right now, it might not be what is really going on or reality. So how about we consider looking at our lives from the lens of, of abundance, and not the lens of poverty. Sort of the poor me, us, but we look from a place of appreciation about what we have now, rather than believing the grass is greener on the other side. When we think about this, our next food for thought, something that we ought to think about is the revolution is not just in Uganda but the world. Given the world events we have seen in the past 3 years or so, especially in the past 3 years or so, we've probably only just seen them now. Not that they didn't exist, by the way. It's because we've only been sort of woke We have been woke because of the knowledge we have immersed ourselves in for the past 2 years, because of the things that we've been exposed to, the research that we're doing, reading a little bit more, associating yourselves with the different circle of people than what you were, associating yourself with before. It did not mean that they did not exist, because there's a lot of sort of things that have been happening. Let's say the agenda 2030 of maybe the new world order. That agenda has always been there. People have been planning and plotting for a very, very long time. It's only now that some of us have actually got to see here, because we have intentionally gone out to seek. It's almost the Bible, the scripture that says, "Seek and ye shall find, ask and it shall be given unto you." When you seek, you find. If you're not seeking, how are you going to find? You will never find. You will never be given, because you are not seeking. So for me, once I understood this, I see how my life has changed dramatically. Maybe not in physical location or in riches or physical appearance or accumulation of material things, but my mindset. I'm sure 2 years ago, I probably would never have been here on UNN or social media saying what I'm saying. So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. As we move through our presentation, and before we go into our sort of, this was a little intro just to give you food for thought. Think about it. The revolution is not just a Ugandan one, but a worldwide. So wherever you are, question everything. Don't accept what you are told or what you see for just face value, but do your research. I've understood this, and I totally have different perception of how I see things, how I look at things. And once you have that understanding of having a different perception, you are liberated from within. We must be liberated from within, not from outside in, but from inside out. I think as a society or as a community of, of our people, we're always good at talking. Talk is cheap. Let us start acting. Have you heard of the saying, empty tins make the loudest noises? Ask yourself, are you an empty tin? Do you need to say something, even if you have nothing of value or knowledge about it? Do you say something when you have a chance to? Because standing on the sidelines is no longer an option. So sometimes, what is our excuse for not acting? Even if in his unwellness, for instance, Mr. Jakana Naduli still shows up, even in his pain, but we have some excuses, some of us, on why you're not able to say something, why you're not able to do something. And I'm talking about not just the revolution, but our lives in general. We always look to the outside of ourselves to say, please, you did this to me. You did this to me. You caused this. You caused that. No one causes anything unless you've given them permission. So it still always starts within. It starts within. What is my excuse or your excuse? Not taking action, showing up, not doing anything, not contributing financially, for instance, practically investing in yourself emotionally, even something simple as sharing a post. engaging in constructive discussion, or starting something that you truly believe will bring about the change you desire, let's not underestimate ourselves, because it's through this underestimation of ourselves that has got us here as a society. If others are able to say something about our situation, what is our excuse not to say something about our situation? So I just like this video that will be playing a little bit. Consider it, and think about it and see if this person can say something about why we're in poverty. What stops you from saying something about it? And maybe it might come as a contradiction of what I've just said, but all I'm saying is that we cannot blame anymore the leaders. We let them, we gave them permission. You cannot blame your boyfriend for not treating you right. You gave them permission because you stayed. It might not be verbalized permission, but you stayed. So you say to them, it's okay, you can treat me anyhow you want. I'm still going to stay. So I will call upon a video, something that a colleague shared, a TikTok video, which we appreciate, others sort of standing in for us and making some noise about our situation. But I'm hoping, we learn a thing or two about what does it say about us if we're always going to say it's the other that has done this to me, done that to me. We reap what we sow. We cannot stand on the sidelines and think that the road will be sort of, waved, will be paved for us. We must be on the road.
Why are there rich countries and why are there poor countries? We like to think that rich countries are developed and poor countries are underdeveloped and they just need more time to catch up. A lot of this has to do with how everything started. Colonialism and imperialism gave Western countries the startup capital to be where they are at today. And they got this startup capital from robbing resources from the poor countries and stealing all of their human resource in the form of slave labor. But let's put all that aside for a moment. What are the forces right now that are perpetuating this cycle of impoverished countries? A huge factor in this is the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. These are basically the banks of the world. Their goal is to abolish poverty. So they offer loans to poor countries to help lift them out of poverty. But these loans have some pretty big stipulations. The World Bank and the IMF prohibit poor countries from nationalizing their resources. Why would they want to do this? They don't want these poor governments to have control over the resources. They want to keep it in the hands of foreign investors and corporations that are mostly owned by the United States and Western countries. These loans ensure that those resources will not go to benefit the public of those poor countries. Also, these loans prohibit these countries from subsidizing their own resources because they say it'll be unfair in the global market. The loans are subprime, meaning they have very high interest rates, and they may never ever be paid off. So these governments spend a huge part of their national revenue paying off loans. Guess where the World Bank and the IMF are headquartered? They're in Washington, D.C. Guess who has most of the control over these banks? The United States. Guess what country decided that it's okay for them to subsidize their exports to have an unfair advantage in the global market? The United States. Poor countries are kept back by the chains of debt. And it's actually poor countries that develop rich countries, not the other way around. Poverty is not foreordained. It is deliberate, it is by design, and it is manufactured.
So, welcome back. You had it. You had it. What question everything? We must question everything. We cannot accept the status quo. We cannot accept business as usual. That is not an option at this stage. It is no longer an option. We need to be awake. If others can stand in for us and say what it is, why can't we? And the bottom line is that shows you that you have the power of word, the power of tongue to manifest your condition. Question, who is it that is giving you charity donations? Why? I go back to my point of questioning everything. I also go back to my point that nothing is for free. When we have so much or so many organizations which are coming as charitable organizations, who's benefiting from this? If you think about the situation of famine recently in last Sunday in the UNICEF news, or it's called UNICEF brief, there was an article about food. One child pushed into severe malnutrition. One child pushed into severe malnutrition every minute. When you think about famine, when you think about how the wars are funded, for instance, you've got billions going into the war, but then we hear the same organization that's probably behind all of these other organizations is saying to us, one child pushed into severe malnutrition every minute. So who's causing famine? Why is there endless and perpetual charity donations? What is it about the African situation that is not changing? Why are we perpetually needing donations and handouts? What is it? Despite being the richest continent on earth, we are perpetually in a sort of this poverty. What is put out there in the world, someone is saying something and we're believing whatever they're saying because you see it in the news all the time, every day on your TVs. You see it all the time in your face. Charity organization, this charity organization, that, poor African children, poor this, poor that, help them, please. We, donate. Where is it going? Who is it going to? Because we cannot practically nowadays food is thrown away a lot, but yet you're saying there's children who are in severe malnutrition every minute. How is that possible unless it's man-made? Sort of the idea that let's keep putting up the narrative that poor Africans, We put out the narrative, poor Africans, they need our help, they need our help. Therefore, there is a lot of reason why we should have a lot of interference in our business. So we have a lot of interference, and everybody's wanting this cause and effect. They want to cause the situation so that there's the effect of, this is the reason why we need to be borrowing. This is the reason why we need donations. This is the reason why we need handouts. We do not need perpetual handouts because it is disabling our creative, our higher being, our spiritual intelligence. How ironic that the land of the plenty is the land that is being perceived as the land of having nothing. And you know why? Why I think that this is the reason? The reason is that we have accepted that this is our narrative. Even if you've never starved in your life, whoever is, all of you who are watching me, even if you've never starved in your life, you continue to believe that we are indeed in poverty, we indeed have nothing, we indeed are poor, we indeed, that is in your subconscious. And therefore, every time someone asks you, how are you doing, my dear? You will say, it is not well. I want us to be reminded that why are we always constantly, you say it is not well. I have been ill. We have an excuse of why someone should feel sorry for us. We thrive in this traumatized state. We thrive for being poor me, poor this, poor this. Why can't we just stand tall and say, no, enough is enough. I will not be begging. I will not be a beggar. I will not be dressed like someone who doesn't have. Even if I do not have what the other person has, I will still dress properly, nice. How many family members do you call back home? How many family members do you call? And the moment you say, hello, how are you? Chiribubi. Chiribubi tetuyina. Why am I bringing this? Because if you remember the story that has been going viral recently, a story of the North African stampede at Milera, the Morocco-Spanish border, that story, imagine, because someone has continuously educated the masses, educated the Ugandan, or educated the African continent that we need charity. Therefore, we must leave our own, we must leave our riches, our land of plenty, with sunshine, with rain, with the best tropical, at least 95% of our land is fertile. So I just wanted to remind us of the recent tragedy in North Africa, a stampede, so they say, that took the lives of over 100 of our fellow Africans. I dedicate this show to my fallen brothers and sisters at home and diaspora, past and current, like those who have lost their young lives at Milera. This is the Morocco-Spanish border, who have tragically lost their lives from the perpetrators of modern day colonialism, modern day slavery. When you think of slavery, you're probably thinking, oh, we're no longer in handcuffs, so we must be free. But when you see the video that has been making rounds, and the pictures that have been making rounds of that tragedy, what is your definition of slavery? Just because we are no longer in chains, it does not mean that slavery is gone. Because the worst slavery we now have is of the mind. That is the real slavery. At least maybe we could have fought for ourselves if we knew that the physical slavery was still around. But the mind is a very powerful tool. Like from my shows from day one, I have to, I sort of came here to talk to you about the subconscious and unconscious mind and the power of the mind. You can see it today within us, in front of us. When you look in the mirror, it's staring back at you. Are you free? When you think about, I am going to another land to get riches. When we think about of migrating all the time from where we are, leaving behind the most valuable thing on earth, which is land and the resources in the land. But somehow we have this veil over our faces. The subconscious mind, from the times of physical enslavement and colonialism, it has made us believe that we're inferior. What we have is not good enough. It's not good enough. We must go somewhere else. We must go to another land. We must go and seek pastures new. Where are we going? You tell me, who is more richer? Someone who has a plot of land where they rely on the land, on the rains, and they're able to wake up every day, have a stream down the river, not paying any bills, have a piece of land that they can grow anything they would like. Because you don't need many to be able to grow, and they might to multiply. You only need one seed to have multiplication. So when you think of how we are so enslaved in our mindset, thinking that we actually are better off being consumers rather than producers, leaving and selling off our pieces of land, which is the most valuable, and moving to be stuck in the roller coaster, in the rat race, on the hamster wheel, based sort of feeding ourselves with plastic food. Being forced to all the time that you must go and purchase something. You want sweet corn, you must go and purchase it. If you don't have money, the paper money, you will not be able to purchase what you want. Whereas if you had one seed of sweet corn, you will be able to multiply and feed your family, feed your community as well. So whilst the greedy will steal from right under our feet the natural resources as they feel like it, but they will guard their borders and massacre our brothers and sisters like they did. last week. So God borders, even if it's at the detriment of taking life of the very people they're stealing from. And unfortunately, we have the greedy African leaders who will stop at nothing to sell off the African child if their pockets and bellies are full. As long as their pockets and bellies are full, they can sell us off, which we can see happening all around Africa. So I will stop there. We'll go through to the national anthem. That was a little bit of a reflection of my own reflection, my own perspective on the sort of developments of the past week, what has been in the news, maybe what's not made the news. And where have you seen any sort of, national television or big television talking about this tragedy? Has it happened? Have you seen anything? No. And that is just a true reflection on where we are, where we think the grass is greener, what they truly think of us.
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free for liberty, together we'll always stand. Oh, Uganda, the land of freedom, our love and labor we give, and we've neighbors all at our country's calling, peace and friendship.
Hello, welcome back. If you've just joined us now, welcome back. You are on UNN TV, the Truth Command Center. No apologies. The show tonight is the revolutionary SPA, and that means revolutionary self-purposeful action. It is hosted by me, Sophia S.P.A. The time in London now is at 21:26, which is almost 9:30 p.m. So our topic today is about the power of word and tongue. Is the manifestation or fulfillment of the law of cause and effect. Law of cause and effect means literally you reap what you sow. What you put in is what you get out. Choices and consequences. There's always a choice. There's always another side. There's always an opposite side to the other. What you put in is what you get out. You reap what you sow. You've had these sayings several times, but do we truly live by these words, or do we just speak and say? I think my observation is that as a people, of the African continent, or speaking about my community, the Ugandan community, we do talk a lot, but we truly do not mean what we say, and we don't say what we mean. So you wonder why we're in the situation that we're in. You wonder why we have poverty. You wonder why, despite the many religions, the many churches, the many mosques we have dotted around our land, our neighborhoods, our answers, our prayers are sort of not answered, or they take long. Just a reminder, back in January, I think it was episode, I believe it was about maybe episode 3 or 4, I talked about how our belief systems impact on our self-belief and therefore our perception of the world. I talked about how our culture norms, for example, that video or photo of the refugees, the refugees in Malaria, the colorism, the light, our culture norms where we feel that we have this sort of colorism. What do I mean by that? The lighter you were, or the whiter you were, it means to be a god. You're rich, you're of knowledge, you're of power, better than. When we have this mentality of ourselves all the time, or we say to ourselves, this is where I go back, the power of the word or the power of tongue. What you say to yourself, you become. Or remember the parenting that we receive, the upbringing, the childhood experiences, which determine our belief systems. This happens, for instance, between the ages of 0 to 7. That is what research says, that between the ages of 0 to 7, our mindset, our conscious mind, subconscious mind is fully developed. And therefore, whatever was said to us between the ages of 0 to 7, whatever we were exposed to, whatever we have seen, whatever we have come to believe of ourselves now, was all put into our subconscious mind between the ages of 0 to 7. So imagine. You're walking around, me and you, we are walking around all the time in autopilot. We are still believing in the things that someone told us before. We do not deserve, you are not good enough. The lighter you are, the better looking you are. Who said? They have the same blood as you and me. We all have red. It's not green, blue, no. So our belief systems are also impacting on our financial or money education. We earn to consume. We don't necessarily have habits of saving, or we don't have habits of not putting a lot of value and emphasis on money. Like I said, our topic today is the power of word and tongue. The language our parents or elders have used, saying money doesn't grow on trees. How do you think it's impacted our subconscious mind of scarcity? We have this sort of, everything has a root cause. The root cause of why these 100 or so, brothers and sisters at this Morocco-Spanish border have died, because they have a mindset of scarcity. They have a mindset they don't have where they are, that they have to go somewhere in a land where people are lighter, the whiter, to be able to make a living. But in the process, they have lost their lives. Sometimes we have no filter in our speech to let others know. For instance, when we say to others, you are fat, do you know what that means, what that does to maybe a child, to maybe your colleague, to maybe your friend, to maybe your cousin, to maybe your sister. Why can't we just think before we speak? If indeed the power of thought and word, the power of the word and tongue brings about a lot of the creation. As we move through our presentation, I just want us to really think about how is it the revolution was never about, sort of arms taking up arms. If we are to completely revolutionize, transform, transcend ourselves from where we are or where we have been, we need to unlearn the things we have taken on. I brought this story to you about Prince Charles expressing sorrow over slavery in the Commonwealth. And my take on it is that, so maybe 400 years later, we are giving permission for people to admit that what they did was wrong, for us to be able to feel better, because we've brought them into, they need to say it in our meetings. Why can't they just say it in their meetings? Why does it have to be on our soil? Why is it taking so long? What is the agenda here? Why? Why now? I know, yes, we all start from somewhere, but why now? I don't want to get into the politics or political. I just want you to be to think about everything, to question everything, to be open-minded. Whose agenda is it? What is their benefit? The benefit to, this statement. So let's keep moving through our presentation. Whose agenda is it? We're sort of giving power once again for, waiting on the other to tell us, oh, it was wrong, for us to be able to define it, it was wrong, to fight for our rights, to say, no more, we will not be trading with you, we will not be having underhand trade deals and all of that. That is how we should show up and saying, no, we do not accept the experience. But as long as you jump into bed with someone, do not expect them to not say where you had the scar. So is it an apology or crocodile tears? And who benefits for the loss of lives? So it's almost it's the cycle that we are in my cycle is almost like we take away, we give, we take away a lot and we give peanuts, we take away a lot, we give peanuts. Obviously, when you think about this whole discovery of gold in Uganda, what do you think? So is it an apology, or because it's going to benefit because of this discovery? And why now? Anyway, we will leave that there. I just wanted to bring it back to before we went to a break. But our topic today is the power of word or tongue. And I was talking about the language we've been exposed to, the language of our colonial masters, the language of slavery, the language of politicians, the language of our parents, our elders, saying money doesn't grow on trees. If we move through our slide today, the presentation, money doesn't go on trees, right? Having no filter in our speech to let someone know that they're fat. Why does it concern you? To what benefit is it going to you to say, to put down someone else? Or to say someone is darker, they need to lighten up their skin? When we look at the some of the politicians who bleach, imagine like what sort of role modeling, the power of word or tongue does really create. It does bring about a lot of creation. When you think about the power of word, creation started with word. Genesis 1, I believe, chapter 3, let there be light. When you think about death, Proverbs 18, chapter 21, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Those who choose one shall eat its fruit. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Those who choose one shall eat its fruit. As I go back to remind us that the power of word, the power, every time we say something, we need to consider, what are you creating? What sort of environment do you want to live in? What sort of life do you want to have for yourself, for your family, for your children and children's children? And it goes on and on and on, because it's limitless. When you say that the lighter you were, the better. Imagine the leaders we have in power are saying to our children, our girls, that no, you must bleach yourself to be able to go further. No, what your natural skin color as a beautiful dark chocolate, how God created you, you're not good enough. No, we must bring in we must create our own. So our behaviors, also actions, when I say the actions, the photo in front of you says it all. Bleaching, which is a silent killer of self-esteem and self-worth. You just have to look at those in places of leadership. Like I was saying, what message does it say to the young girl, woman in Uganda? You bleach, you buy expensive things, you have arrived. When you think about the gender roles, women at home, men breadwinner. But that's no longer the case now, because environment has changed. Who is taking the plane going to the Arab world? Is it man or woman? Who is now the breadwinner? The impact on body image, how we are supposed to look, wear, act, behave, this and that, all of that impacts on how we value ourselves. This is just a reminder of the show that I did in January, that our our sort of belief systems are built, what we are now are built between the ages of 0 to 7. They are because of what we are, how we're behaving now is what we accumulated, what we learned and stored in our subconscious, and we are 95% on autopilot. That is a psychological thought. Obviously, you might have a different perspective, but if you do share. Like I was saying, behaviors, actions, all impact on the self-belief, our belief systems. When you think about the titles, status, class that we give ourselves, do we need to give ourselves a title? Do you have to say, I am a nurse, I am a social worker, I am a doctor, I am this, I am that? Do we have to do that? What is the end goal? What is it? What is the end goal? Like I say, question everything. Now is no longer the time of lamenting, of accepting everything at face value. Question everything. Do you need to have a title? After all, once you die, that's it. So what use was it if you had a title but you were not good to humanity? It's sort of having a title entitles you to something, the entitlement mindset, just like we see in our leaderships. The poor leaders that we have, those entitlement mindsets. Morals, values, we need these from from elders. However, we have accepted them not to be held accountable. In your family, in the current government, on social media wrangles recently, even if you know it is wrong, it's almost like we cannot challenge because we have been taught, do not challenge. This is the reason why we are in the predicament we're in as a people, as a Ugandan nation. I believe. This is just my perspective. You might have a different one, and that's okay. This is my perspective. And really, what I propose and believe we need to start challenging the narrative, the perspective of leaders, the elders, respectfully, of course, without necessarily being disrespectful to those in positions of power. But it does not mean we lie down, they walk all over us, and they take us blindly into ditches where we are. We should also be challenging ourselves. What limiting beliefs stop you from progressing? What are those limiting beliefs? Did someone tell you that you were not good enough? Did someone tell you that you were too dark to be, a good wife or a good, a people of standing? To hold a certain position? Has someone told you you are only good enough to be a kadama? Have they? Or you're only good enough to be a consumer? You only lament and you accept everything that's given to you. How do you measure or define success? Who tells you you're not successful in what you're doing, where you are now? What are the things of value to you? First ask yourself or them, who measures what is good or bad? Who made the scaling of this good or bad? Who started it? Why do we have to accept that there's good or bad? If you don't have this, you must be bad. If you don't have this, if you have this, you must be good. Who said? Who started it? Just because it's it's there, someone else, someone whiter, some colonialism or some colonialists started to say there's good or bad, there's evil, and you know, is it your society where you are, your friends have told you, or is it the wider society, like I'm saying, where we are the culture, family, population, religion? Is he, she better than me? Why? What is it that you measure yourself against to determine others are better and you are less of? Do you know this victimhood? Again, that is the poverty mindset that we really need to seriously unlearn. The victimhood behavior, mentality, because cause and effect, the law of cause and effect, what you give in is what you get out. If you give in, I am poor, I am this, batuyambe tulibavu, you are going to get exactly that. And this is exactly what's happening. As a collective, we've really done a very good job at lamenting, hence the reason we're being driven to a ditch. Law of attraction deals you, it works all the time. The law of attraction, what you give in, what you attract. If others are the ones that told you that you're not good enough, who gave them the right? If we are made in God's image and all men are equal, whose moral standards are you measuring yourself with? Everyone sins, okay, if that's the case. But what is sin after all? Anyway, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So you can either live by the power of your tongue, or you can live. So or you can either die because of the power of your tongue, the things you say to yourself, listening to others, what they say about you. This is very relevant. Don't think that whatever I'm saying here is not relevant to our revolution. It might not seem like it now because we are so used to having everything black and white, but not everything is black and white. We know that there's a spiritual warfare. We know that there's a physical one too. So this is a philosophical thought, or spiritual, or whatever you want to call it, that the power of tongue, we say what we become. We say, imagine when we say to our children all the time, if we say all the time that you're not good enough, you've got the worst grades. Imagine, remember when we, in fact, remember in boarding school, because you didn't perform a certain way, because you're not, maths is not your strength, or English was never your strength, or history or geography or whatever it is, you were caned to show you that you are not good enough. You need to improve. But why? Why did it have to be that way? We wonder why we have the leaders that we have today. Because if physical chastisement is what needed to get us to start being creative, when we compare with the land where we want to go all the time, the land where we are in the diaspora, where physical chastisement is not, just forgive me 1 second. Okay, so we're gonna take a break. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I think we will conclude with our show today. But I really appreciate you for being on here. I do hope that somehow you're learning a thing or two from me. If not, that's okay too. But let's come back from a quick break. Thank you.
Why do we need the federal system of governance in Uganda? And what is federalism? Federal is a system of governance. It's not about getting rid of the central government. It's not about party politics. It's not about multi-partisan or absence of it. It's not about religious differences. It's not about tribalism. It is not for the benefit of Buganda alone. It's not about monarchism. It's not about land or dispossessing people from land. It is not about supremacy of one region over another or others. It's about helping the central government to provide services more efficiently and provide more effective development to the people. It's about sharing power and responsibilities between the central government and regional governments. Federalism is about providing more prosperity, more wealth, more feeling of belonging and participation in governance by marginalized and non-marginalized people. The federal system of government minimizes possibilities of waging war against the central government. It minimizes internal acts of terrorism and discontent against the central government. It has inbuilt safeguards that ensure uniform growth for all regions of the country, and additional measures to make sure that the marginalized or less developed regions of the country can catch up through the system of equalization grants and affirmative action programs. This ensures that the regions with greater income and development contribute a percentage of their earnings to the developed areas which may be less developed. It should be noted that federalism, though different from decentralization, does not contradict or exclude decentralization. The two systems can and should coexist and complement each other at the regional level. Advocating federal does not mean or seek to get rid of decentralization from regional tier, nor does it mean getting rid of district MPs, LC leaders, or other regional government officials. To learn more about federalism, register and join UFCC at www.ufcc.uk.
Hello, welcome back from that short break. And as we get back here, just to remind those who have just joined us and those who are probably wondering what this is UNN TV, and we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We also have online, which is getunn.com. And also remember, we need everybody to come together in the revolution of Uganda. What does that mean? It means that you engage with the UFCC, Uganda Federal Consultative Council, which is ufcc.uk. Have you got your five? Have you got your five? Your mastermind? If not, why not? Are you going to be on the sidelines? And look, we don't have to take it sort of this tie and you can't breathe sort of thing. You know your five. You know the people that you're always hanging around with. You know the people that you renovate with. You know the people that understand you, get you. And with those five, not just about UFCC, it's also about making sure that we are changing ourselves, we are preparing ourselves, or as we prepare ourselves, you are developing, you're evolving. So I really encourage, if you don't have that community or the five or another community that builds you, that helps you to understand, to be better than, probably better than, it might be a strong word, but to be different from what you were before. Not better than, because it's not necessarily better and good. It's about evolving. You take a step forward from where you were before. What can you honestly say when you write down the things that you did not know yesterday, or the things you did not know last year or last week, and the things you know now? What do you know differently? That is the evolving. That is you're transforming. And we need to no longer sort of change. It's about revolution. We need to transcend, to transform into something that you did not think was possible for you. So when you are seated with yourself, by yourself, remember, things are not black and white. Things are not them and us. Things are not better versus worse. Things are not about good or bad. Things are not about rich or poor. Even when you may think it is, you don't have to have an education the way the mainstream education is to know. You do not have to have material things, a certain speech. It is not about competition, because if you go into the competition mindset, then you have conflict always with yourself. It is not about whether you speak well, whether it is the English language or accent, this, to know that you are of value. It is what it is. That's it. You accept you, you embrace you. Because when you bring in yourself something that is outside of you, living outside of your natural surroundings, your inner being, your environment, your mind, your body and spirit, you cause disharmony within yourself. So we are always chasing something better than, but we end up coming back to ourselves. If you've noticed, for those who are sort of spiritually aware, for those who are awoke, every time we are fighting to aspire to someone else's idea of what good means, of what value means. we are in disharmony within ourselves. Hence the turmoil or conflict we feel on a daily basis. You feel like you need to improve something. You need to improve something. It's not about improving something. It's being aware that what you were from yesterday, it is not what you're going to be today, tomorrow. It's evolving. You're evolving. You're a being. You evolve. You're organic. We are out of sync with God's creation. Hence the reason we have the wars, the depression, the trauma, the suicide, the self-harming thoughts. Yes, this is also, it includes, like I said, war, conflict, starvation, displacement, as we can see all around us. Every time you say to yourself, I am not good enough, you are bringing into creation that which you do not want to become in the first place. So every time we as a collective say that we are not good enough, we don't deserve the best of the best, or we don't deserve to have the best healthcare system, the good roads, the good neighborhoods, the good leadership, we are saying that we do not deserve, we don't value ourselves, so we do not evolve, we are stagnant. We remain exactly the same. As you can see, it's all in the mind, the thought, the word, what we say to ourselves. The same thing the politicians come and say to you, the same things, but then they do exactly the same thing the next, just like Mulangi was saying, the next election. And we accept, we give them permission. As we travel through this thing called life, as I mentioned above, we are often told or taught or exposed to someone else's view of the world. You go to school, get a job, get a degree. We put value on those things which are outside of ourselves, our natural evolving, our natural evolution. The view of the world, which world? The Western world. You sit all day in a classroom taking someone else's idea. But in the end, you find that you're still not at a level where you want it to be in terms of your achievements, for instance, despite the many degrees that you have. I think someone once said that the cemetery is the richest place on earth, because it has all the degrees, all the ideas, all everything that someone you go with. You once you're off this earth, that is it. There's not another you. Not even your child can take your degrees. So we get a job, take on the man-made titles. We stay in that box. I am a lawyer, I am a teacher, I'm a social worker, I'm a housemaid, I am a clerk, I'm a farmer, I'm a nurse, I'm a policeman, I'm a judge. The list goes on. What this does to our soul, our spirit, our core being, it strips away our ability to think outside this box, think supernaturally. As we set our mind to just being that which the world has said we need to be, or we are, we need be nothing. That is, we need be nothing. We are constrained to this narrative. We have a tunnel vision in order to fit in the box. When we find ourselves not fitting in the box, we begin to have conflict with ourselves and others. So, of course, to my brothers and sisters who lost their lives, who suffered in search of pastures new, and those who continue to, to lose their lives all over the world. I pray that God, the power of the Holy Spirit, to guide you home to your motherland, back to the ancestral land. Guide us all. Guide us all. The reason I'm here is to give a universal perspective on our situation, or a world view, if you like. So hence you will often hear me reference individuals that I have found inspiration to me anyway, or beyond our community, or things, perspectives like the philosophical perspectives. Well, you don't have to accept what I am saying, but rather keep an open mind. That's all I'm saying. Take away that which you will, or you find of value. Just do that. Have an open mind. Or that which resonates with you, with your spirit. Leave that which doesn't. Because I come in peace and with the hope that I get you to internalize rather than externalize your existence, your life, your purpose, your being, your circumstances, in the hope to educate, empower, and inspire you to self-purposeful action, to self-actualization, to self-determination, as you have come to hear several of my fellow hosts refer to it. So another food for thought, just remember, riches come with the state of mind. Not because of hard work or blood, but we do not have to sacrifice our bodies to go through pain. Is almost like an addiction within our society, that we have to go through pain to achieve, to get. This is a quote from Napoleon Hill. So have you ever thought about the things you do, why you do these things, why you say the things that you say? Well, in my view, on what this sort of the perspective that I come from, the psychological perspective or philosophical thought, explains that we say what we say or do because we have come to believe that thing. We say about ourselves, or others have said. It is engraved on our subconscious minds, just like I reminded you when I started earlier in this show. I reminded you of maybe episode 1 and 2 of the Revolutionary Spa, in case you were not with us at the start of this show. I talked about the subconscious mind again versus the conscious mind. I talked about Sigmund Freud's iceberg theory, where he's proposing that everything we are, or we outwardly demonstrate to others, is in fact in our subconscious mind. It is on autopilot. We are on autopilot. I've said it already, and I'll say it again, 95% of the time. That leaves us with 5%. 5% of the time we have where we're in control of what we think, what we say sometimes, how we behave, our mannerisms, our rituals that we do all the time. Where we choose consciously the things we are aware of and in control of, what we do, think, or say. That means that what comes out of our mouth, our actions, behavior, is due to our subconscious thought, your belief system, what you got between the age of 0 to 7 years old. So do you ever think of changing these things? Because I have, and that's why I'm here. I know I did wrestle with a lot of the self-limiting beliefs when I moved to the UK when I was a young teenager, right? I struggled to value myself because society told me I am not of value because I did not know how to, I didn't have the same skill of mathematics as everybody else. Maybe as I had an accent thicker and I still have an accent now. So what? So, do you ever think of changing these things? Remember, changing you means changing us, means changing environment, means changing the way you parent. The children who are going to be the future of tomorrow are going to be the way they are because of your upbringing, your parenting. Everything that we do around us, everything is connected. It is not outside of ourselves. The leaderships that we have today are a product. One second. Are a product. So we're gonna play just one video, I believe, although it's not necessary, but maybe just to remind us where we are, although I don't really necessarily like to bring in a lot of political videos and stuff, but maybe we will play it actually at the as a conclusion. If you don't mind, we will play it concluding. I'm about to conclude what I am saying to you. So, like I was saying, the 5%, do you ever think, of changing from the 5% to maybe 50%? Have you ever thought about changing completely your way of life? Not living the same substandard? And you know what? It's funny because it is not about accumulation of materialism, but the materialistic things do come once you have changed your mindset. You don't have to go through the blood and sweat anymore because you have changed your mindset. This is the beauty of it. In case you were wondering, or in case you were thinking, oh my goodness, how come, I cannot, what am I going to do? The fact that I have to change my mindset, but how about earning money? You don't have to worry about the earning money, the physical money yet, until you change your mindset, because maybe you will be able to do less work. You won't have to take the plane to go to the Arab world. You won't have to stay in the diaspora. We're all here trying. So when we talk about revolution, what comes to mind? When for the past year or so listening to UNN, what have you done to transform yourself? Tangible, with the things that you can touch. Have you changed your job if you don't like it? If not, have you taken the steps to change it in the near future? How about intangible self-care, your attitude, your behavior, your mannerisms, how you present yourself in dress, in speech, perspective, routine, and many other things? For the sake of our better understanding, I would like to firstly define what revolution means. Even if I have in the past on this program, revolution is to transform, to transcend, become anew, to have radical thought, perception, action, and behavior. You cannot be the same way, speak the same way, as in the thing, your attitude, how you speak, how you profess, how you say things happening for you in your life, and expect to have different results just for the sake of, oh, I know because I have watched UNN. That's not enough. What is enough is you taking it all the way to acting on what you have learned. If it means getting rid of your whole maybe wardrobe, if it means getting rid of the friends or what you call friends, if it means reading a book or something every day, if it means stopping to always speak like I do not have, I am poor. Stop speaking to yourself, because it's the power of word and tongue is very powerful. This is what we say when we say revolution. You transform, not be the same. So I want us to consider how we show up for ourselves, our family, our partners, our children, loved ones. In turn, the community, the country will transform when the individuals, us as the people, have transformed. Then we won't have any more of the poor leaderships. You invest your resources, your energy, your time. By the way, resources are about energy, time, money, anything like service. Does it build you or take away from you? Does it build or add to self or others, or take away from self? Does it contribute to the whole, the community you live in? What stops you from cleaning up? Start with you. If your community is dirty, if you're living in very poor conditions in terms of that, it doesn't take lots of money. You don't need to be going to make lots of money to have a clean home. Think about how we as a people always talk about, for example, the struggle. We use these words and these words become true. We talk about poverty. How many times someone you call back home and say you are, they tell you you're poor. They're poor. We talk about being chiribubi. It is bad, chiribubi. Of course it's going to be bad because you're saying it. The power of word, tongue. You say you are unwell, you're sick. It is going to be bubi. You're going to be ill. You don't have this or you don't have that. Or wavu wunji. All of this talk, the tongue, we make the things, we create them. When you talk about a bad girl, a bad boy kind of thing to our children, so think about the law of attraction, like I'll keep repeating it. You reap what you sow, essentially. I know there's several people, family, friends I call, speak to regularly in Uganda, for instance, that will not say, we are good, it is well. It is always about, it is not. However much money you send them, you never have accountability. You never have positive results. Or anyway, most of the time, I'm not saying never, but you don't have the positive results you would expect for contributing to their livelihoods for 10 years, 20 years or so. Many of us have done it. Despite having shelter, a warm bed, daily food, water, no bills, no debt, no grinding daily to go to work, clocking in, clocking out, not having to deal with traffic noises, pollution all day, not deal with stress of all the above, not one day. They are always chidibubi. There's land to grow, be creative, build a fresh water source, rain, nature, essentially to make a heart or a pot or a plate or a brick endless, but say we don't have, we are poor. As I have said at the start of this program, riches come with the state of mind and not because of hard work or blood and sweat. Sometimes I sometimes talk to my family about how we frustrate God. What do we want God to do? We call upon God all the time. Please help us. Please, if you do this for me, we wonder why our prayers are not answered, despite being the most prayerful people on planet Earth, I think, on the African continent. You must look at the many churches spread across the continent. Everywhere you look on our African street is a church or mosque. Anyway, I am digressing a bit, but my point is, it is not about how hard we pray that gets us the results or gets you the results or determines how many riches or the things in quantity or wealth we acquire. I believe that it is the quality of prayer. We just ought to be persistent, consistent, and practice gratitude in our daily prayers rather than always asking for something or only praying hard enough in time of need. It should be a way of life. And we could start practicing an abundant mindset instead of a lack mindset. We need to start practicing, I believe. It'd be good. We can start practicing a mindset of having all we need right now where we are, because God, Holy Spirit, infinite intelligence knows what we desire before we ask. We could change the way we say things, be intentional about what we say, how we say it, not because we want material things only, but we want our lives to be filled with joy, happiness, and be content and calm. Before that, let's learn some new words of affirmations. For instance, like, I am enough, I am healthy, I love my being, I am abundantly blessed, and all I need is within me now. There is more, and you may do your own research if you wish. So the language we use about being in the struggle, tuli bubi, nze nga ndabye, poor me, I don't have enough, I don't know much or enough, what are we going to do? Lamenting, all are words that contribute to our condition, the poverty condition mindset. We are a true reflection of our thoughts. Everything you see going on around us, or you, it is what you're thinking. Like I said, philosophical thought, there is no good or bad. Everything is neutral. Everything is in abundance. Everything is, until you say it is not. We create our environment. If we lack of sadness, poverty, by constantly talking and thinking about negative, we attract negativity. You attract what you put in. You reap what you sow. When we talk about illness, we attract it. When we talk about lack of something, we attract it. When we don't invest in ourselves, we shouldn't expect someone else to invest in us. We shouldn't feel entitled. When we don't invest in ourselves, our communities, our children, our societies, we will get what we deserve, period. When you beg, say you are poor, don't have enough, always, you are telling God or universal intelligence that God's word is wrong. When Jesus says you can walk on water, have faith, or that we are made in his image, what does that mean? When Muhammad said he had the whole Quran recited to him by the angel directly from God, and all believe, why and where did he get his super intelligence if he was man? What stops you from also harnessing that power? Or what stops us from doing that? What was so different from these two men that we do not possess? Okay, maybe I've gone too far for comparing. How about those building the planes we frequent? Someone who created the light bulb, electricity. So I say this because imagine if they listened to negative words by saying to themselves or listening to someone else saying to them over and over and over again, they would have believed this and not invented the extraordinary. What is when you say you are this, you become that which you speak to yourself. To believe in something not seen, touched, or experienced before, that is having faith. Just like we know in the beginning there was word, word became God, and word was God. I know that I try to live my life daily by attracting the things I want with positive optimism. I give my time what I have, not to be given or expecting anything in return, but for God's law, the universal laws that I reap what I sow. It may not be now, but maybe tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now, or for my children and my children's children. It is called legacy. But in our society, we're all about I want to receive now. Because I gave you, I must receive now or tomorrow in return. So perhaps our ancestors or great great grandparents did not speak positively in our lives and hence our current circumstances. Maybe just a thought. So knowing what we know, words are powerful. Speak what you wish and see what you spoke. We ought to start now. This is the revolutionary change. This is truly being revolutionary for a radical transformation. So you are on the revolutionary spark, self-purposeful action show. As always, I am Sophia Sebi. Some of you may know me as the African Parent Buddy. Check out my page, Sophia Sebi, the African Parent Buddy. Like it, comment, share for weekly inspirational or motivational, empowering sort of thought of the day. I'm sure many of you, and thank you for those who follow the page and comment. I appreciate you all of you who have commented and liked the page. You inspire me to continue going. I hope that this is my way of appreciating you for the same thing. We grow by lifting each other. No man is an island. Remember, if we don't look after our own, someone else will. This own, I mean yourself, family, neighbor, community, society, and humanity. What would be helpful? Be prayerful, meditate, have some silence, gratitude, always be grateful, giving, not expecting anything in return. Invest in yourself, learning, attending a course or research or reading every day, supporting others' ventures, your friend, your family. Don't be in competition with anybody else. Being with like-minded people, letting go of material things slowly. Okay, it's not easy at all. I'm still trying, but we will get there. We need to die to ourselves, so to speak. So I'm going to leave you with the small about letting go. I'm going to read from The Way of Mastery. It's about sort of flows from alignment with God. This is, you have this book, The Way of Mastery, and it's The Way of Mastery by Shanti Crystal Foundation. I'm reading from page 16 and the last paragraph. How much of your suffering comes because you are clinging to a lifeless past and insisting that you carry it with you still? Remember, talk to you about the limiting beliefs, the things that have been told to you in the past by someone else. So you are doing that because in the past you became identified with the clouds that were passing by and claimed that as your own identity. You claimed those clouds. When we say those clouds, what do we mean? The clouds of someone telling you you don't belong, you are in this class, you must be in a certain box. We give ourselves the titles. Therefore, if you release it, it will mean that you must change, you must go on. So creation itself that flows from the mind of God is ongoing forever. You will never cease to be. I really enjoy this book. I encourage you to get it. You can get it from Amazon. I don't get any benefit from advertising the book. I'm not advertising it, but I'm saying this is some of the text that I read that helps me. Remember, time is the only value we have, and you and I have no control. So as I say goodbye, let's watch this video. I wish you a very good weekend and a good week ahead. Thank you for being on the Revolutionary Spa, or for all those of you who have stayed with me or stayed with us from the beginning of the show. I thank you so much, and I wish you all the peace and joy and love and happiness, even if we're in the struggle, or we don't use struggle. Even if you're in the revolution, have fun, take time to be silent. You don't have to have chaos or noise all the time. Have a good evening, have a good night. Let's watch this last video, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
How do these corrupt people look like? Are they white? The corruption the other time during your state address, you said, Your Excellency, you said, let us fight corruption from the LOC one. We started it. But now corruption is everywhere. Even these people are corrupt. The army and the leaders, they are all corrupt. Who should arrest them? Many people are raiding, leaders are raiding, the army is raiding, raiders are raiding. How do these corrupt people look like? Are they white? The corruption the other time during your state address, you said, Your Excellency, you said, let us fight corruption from the LOC one. We started it. But now corruption is everywhere. Even these people are corrupt. The army and the leaders, they are all corrupt. Who should arrest them? Many people are raiding, leaders are raiding, the army is raiding, raiders are raiding. How do these corrupt people look like? Are they white? The corruption the other time during your state address, you said, Your Excellency, you said, let us fight corruption from the LOC one. We started it. But now corruption is everywhere. Even these people are corrupt. The army and the leaders.